Hi, welcome back to St Blazey Model World. Decals Part 2, how to make your own. This is the part I've been dreading really because, truth be told, I don't have sufficient filmmaking skills to make this particular episode very interesting. But nonetheless, I hope you find it informative. Now, as I said in my introduction in Part 1, and there's a link to the screen on it now, you will need to have some computer skills in order to make your own decals, because eventually we're going to print these designs off on decal paper. Through trial and error, I found that the best programs to use for decal construction are desktop publishing programs. And if you're not sure what a desktop publishing program is, there'll be a definition of it on the screen now, and you can just pause the screen while you read that. So on the screen now, we've got 3 examples of things that we can do when we make our own decals. The first one is a Kent's Cavern advert. This was very popular on the Devon General and Western National fleet of the MBC era, 1970s to 1980s. And that's obviously black text on a yellow background, and that will work. The next one is Eastern National Bus Company style fleet names, red text on a white background, and that will work. Lastly, we have an advert for that very well known but now defunct store Woolworths, although I think they are trading online again, and that is white text on a red background, and therein lies one of the problems that we need to consider. Now, most, if not all, home printers, be they laser printers or inkjet printers, do not print white. The standard colours of cyan, yellow, magenta and black are there for a reason, but there is no combination of those that will give you white print. There are 1 or 2 printers that allow you to insert a ghost white cartridge, but generally white text is out of bounds for the home user, and so we have to create it via a bit of sleight of hand, and applying white text on a red background is one way to do it. Now, on the example that's on the screen now, the Kent's Cavern advert and the Eastern National fleet names could be printed on clear back decal paper. The Woolworths advert, on the other hand, needs to be printed on white back decal paper, and that's how we create white lettering. But we need to have a background colour. So if we were doing Eastern National fleet names, for example, in white text, we'd need to replicate the background colour of the model that they were going on. And so, although I've got 3 different adverts on the screen now, the first 2 will be printed on clear back decal paper, and the last one would have to be printed on white back decal paper to achieve the white lettering. So when you start with your blank desktop publishing program, open file, blank file, you just need to give a little bit of thought to what you're going to produce. And there's nothing wrong with producing everything on one file, as I have in the example that we just looked at. But when it comes to printing, it might pay to separate out those images so that you're not using the wrong paper. So clearly using text is one way to make a decal, but how else can we do it? Well, let's have a look. Well, hopefully the chances are that you've got some photographs of the things that you're interested in, ones that you've taken yourself so that you're not infringing anybody else's copyright. And if you have photos, you probably have already captured things that can be used as decals without having realised it. So here's a picture of a bus. So I took this photograph. I can do what I like with it. I own it. And we've got 2 things on here that we can use. Firstly, and most obviously, we've got this great big advert on the top deck of the vehicle. So we can use that. But we've also got the fleet name underneath, and we can use that as well. Now, at the moment, of course, that's a picture of a bus and nothing more. But if we put that into a very simple photo editor, or if you're a Windows user, something like Paint, we can crop that and we can get a crop of the advert and a crop of the fleet name as well. And so here's a crop of the advert and here's a crop of the fleet name. Now both the advert and the fleet name aren't actually straight on the screen, and so they won't be straight on the page when we put them into our desktop publishing file, but that doesn't matter because we can rotate things in a desktop publisher, and even if we don't have access to that and we dump them into something that cannot be, where we don't have a facility to rotate, we're just going to print them, and once we've printed them we'll cut them in straight lines so that they can be used for the purpose that we're dealing with for decals. So now in our desktop desktop publishing file, I've put these two pictures in and I've sized them roughly to where I think they need to be. The next thing I would do is print off my file as it is on a plain piece of paper, ordinary paper, not decal paper. And the reason for that is it gives me a chance to look at the size of the image that I'm creating and going to be working with and making sure that I'm happy with it. Decal paper is not wildly expensive, but it's obviously not as cheap as plain paper, so I'll use plain paper for all of my testing. Once I'm happy with everything, I can simply go ahead and copy these images and paste them into this desktop publishing file and create as many examples as I need. So where do we go from here? Well, once you've created your file, your page, and you've done a test print or two on plain paper and you're happy with everything, the next stage is to have some decal paper to print your decal designs onto. I've just done a quick Google search and here are some of the results. There are a lot of people out there offering these decal water slide transfer papers. Make sure you please do not buy the cheapest ones. I would stay away from those, but it's not a vast amount of money for what you get and the facility that it gives you to create something that hopefully nobody else has. And this can apply on model buses, model trains, model aircraft, anything really where you want to give your model, your scenery, your diorama an individual look. So when it comes to printing your designs, remember, if they contain white text, you need to use white background decal paper. Otherwise, the background colour of the model, the main colour of the model will come through, and what was once white text might show up as blue or red or green or yellow or any other colour, and you need to avoid that. So just in summary for part 2 of this series on how to make your own decals. Construct your files using either text or images. Print your tests on plain paper. And remember, when it comes to printing, that you need to use the right kind of decal paper, be it clear back or white back. I hope you found this enjoyable. It hasn't been an easy one to make and to make it an interesting video to watch, but I think it's important to cover the theory and the practical together. Stay tuned. Part 3 of this series will be coming soon. We'll see you again soon on St Blazey Model World. Bye for now.